Welcome to episode 15 of the Luxury Travel Marketer podcast. My name is David, I'm your host, founder of Jadewolf Marketing, and I'm joined by my beautiful co-host, Lubov.
Hello.
Today we're going to talk about common issues in luxury hospitality marketing. But before we get into the podcast, please make sure to go to jadewolfmarketing.com/newsletter and subscribe to our monthly newsletter. We have book recommendations, marketing tech recommendations, industry articles, and we collect all the podcasts that we record in a month in that monthly newsletter. So if you don't want to miss out, make sure to subscribe. Also, we're very active on social media, especially on LinkedIn. Go join our little LinkedIn group for luxury travel marketers. It's a great place to network and stay on top of things as well. And if you're a company in aviation, private aviation, yachting, hospitality, or a travel agent or agency, go to jadewolfmarketing.com/discovery, book a paid discovery with us. It's just $500. It's a great way to get an audit and some initial strategy and tactics for how you can, potentially improve your digital marketing when it comes to attracting high net worth individuals and direct bookings. So now that we're going to talk about hospitality marketing, let's get a little bit into like a definition first of what kind of businesses or brands this is intended for, right? We don't want to talk about motels, hostels, mid-tier accommodation like two three-star hotels or even 4-star hotels. But we're talking about things that are really like problems for luxury hotels, right? 5-star hotels, superior, deluxe, 5-star resorts, villa rental companies that rent out really luxurious properties all around the world. Those are the kind of companies that have to deal with this kind of issues that we're going to talk about. So it's important to get that out of the way first. So Luba, what is the first issue that we hear from people all the time when we ask them what their most common problem with their marketing are?
So the first issue is basically over-reliance on OTAs. What we hear over and over again is that hotels are relying too much on OTAs, and those bookings usually have very little upsell potential.
Yeah, that's a common problem. When luxury travel companies, hospitality companies think about direct marketing, performance marketing, digital marketing, they often think about the mainstream channels, social media, search engines, a little bit of email marketing maybe, and OTAs. OTAs take up a large part of like the budgets of the big groups, and they cost a lot of money. I mean, Luba, you did a research recently on like what the average margin was that those OTAs take from the hotel companies. What was it again?
I mean, it depends on what kind of hotel you are. If you are a big and powerful chain like Marriott, because they can obviously negotiate better rates for themselves. And it also depends on what kind of OTAs we're talking about. But in general, the range goes somewhere between 10% to 45%.
That's a lot. I mean, if you're thinking that, on top of that, you probably have to, invest into other marketing channels and you have other expenses, that's a large chunk out of your margin. And again, the second thing is like those bookings have very little upsell potential because it's all about price equalization on those booking platforms. It's about a lack of differentiation. There is no difference between a 5-star hotel and a 4-star hotel for some people, and the people who book over those channels, they don't have any connection to your brand. They don't really care. At best you will get a couple of Instagram mentions or taggings from those kind of people, but you will not be able to really take them into the family and kind of like create long-term customer and guest relationships with them. A way to fix that, simply speaking, without getting too much into detail, is to develop your own direct marketing channels, right? To build your own funnels, which is what we at Jadewolf specialize in, to build your own online direct marketing experiences so you can attract direct bookings from the right media sources that are luxury media, or filter the mainstream traffic from search engines and social media, at least to the degree where, you're getting the people who can afford it, who are looking for a unique experience and want to have a little bit of an intimate relationship with your hotel or hospitality company, apart from just, getting the best price. Because people who are just looking for the best price, they're not looking really for a real luxury product in most cases. So what is the next point that is on the pain point list for most hotel marketers and hospitality marketers?
So the second pain point is that the guests are getting younger and younger, and in addition to that, they're getting more digital. and it becomes harder to reach them with traditional approaches that hotels are used to.
Yeah, those traditional approaches usually encompass things like, relationships with DMCs, with travel agencies, with buyers from trade shows, or things like OTAs, right? The modern generation, millennials and younger, has grown up with OTAs, are used to book their own travel, plan their own travel, and it can be very hard if you don't offer a good, solid A to Z, fluent, smooth digital experience for them that they can relate to turn them into like long-term customers and guests, and make them become a member of your hospitality membership program, of your VIP program, or upsell them any other like VIP services once they're staying with you, right? So one way to address that is obviously, to invest more in digital, but to do it in a way that is not reliant on OTAs, but instead, gets the people kind of like invested in you beyond just following you on social media, but also, maybe becoming part of your list, and just, consuming your content, your videos, reading your descriptions, and, making it easy to connect with you, and, just be absorbed by your branding, by the luxury dream that you're trying to portray. Okay, so that's for dealing with younger guests. And what is another point?
The next point is that a lot of hotels, a lot of luxury hospitality companies want to reach more people from markets like Russia, like China or United Arab Emirates, but they have a very hard time bridging the technological and cultural gap.
Yeah, so when we're talking about the technological and cultural gap, we mean pretty much that guests and customers in America, in Australia, in the UK, and in Central Europe are not the same as people from like Eastern Europe or Asia in lots of cases, right? They have a different mentality, and it boils down to a bunch of things. It can be, political beliefs. It can be, the religious beliefs. It can be things like just philosophy, the type of like daily life they grow up in, the environment. It shapes them in a different way. And there's a lot of finesse and cultural fine-tuning that is necessary, where a lot of like the big hotel brands tend to go wrong. There's some big players out there that are doing fine, that are doing great with Chinese travelers, for example. They're having special things for the Chinese holidays. They're creating special outreach campaigns, special promotions, offering special events for eating mooncakes and all the stuff that is, associated with certain holidays. And that's good. But, in general, when it comes to marketing and doing it on a like professional level, companies struggle a little bit with that cultural gap. And the technological gap can be things like that. Okay, we want to reach people in Russia, but we might not be completely aware what the media sources are there. And, maybe Yandex, the search engine over there, is for us a strange mystery. Most agencies, most people in the West, have a hard time dealing with those unique kind of like platforms. And this is why we at Jadewolf, try to accumulate as much international know-how as we can, speak as many languages as we can, and work with people who have worked with different platforms in different markets. So we can provide, like great translations, localization, consulting on like what kind of cultural things you have to be aware of, and making sure that, we can leverage the technology in certain countries to the max, be it like Baidu search engine marketing in China, Weibo social media platforms, WeChat accounts, or Yandex search marketing, and special Russian magazines, or things even in Dubai. There's a lot of things that you can do once you look into those exotic markets, but it is not easy, but it can be often worth the effort, in my opinion. So what is the next point on the list?
So our next point is that the traditional luxury brand marketing approach has become harder to justify cost-wise, because the ROI is very difficult to measure.
Yes, this is a problem that is pretty much by default built into kind of like the difference between brand marketing online and doing direct marketing online, right? Brand marketing is about the visual experience. It's about brand association. It's about sponsorship, brand ambassadors, experiential events, all the things that are very expensive to produce, and very hard to measure if they have any impact at all, right? So any luxury company in the long term should invest a certain percentage of their budget and energy into brand marketing. That is a given thing, because that's where a lot of the pricing power and the reputation building comes from. But it's always going to be hard to measure. Seth Godin wrote in his last book, for example, he's a famous marketer, that if you're doing brand marketing, you should be fine with just creating something creative and unique and putting it out there and just leaving it at that. You know, you shouldn't try to measure it because it's going to be nearly impossible anyway. But with direct marketing, right, with the type of funnels that we build, you can still use some of those branding tactics, you know, like the visual aesthetics, video marketing, etc., to create a funnel, to create a direct marketing journey that is still kind of luxurious in the eyes of the potential guest, but is measurable from A to Z. You can measure what the production costs are, what the costs per click are, what the traffic costs are, what your cost per lead, cost per acquisition is, your return on advertising spend. That's what makes direct marketing such a powerful modern tool online that a lot of luxury brands are not fully yet exploring, because they're still kind of like stuck in that belief that we need to do brand marketing, we need to be everywhere so everybody knows us, and we're perceived as this very famous, luxurious, exclusive thing who only works with the few but is known to everybody, which is a good kind of like tactic that fashion brands and like retail brands, jewelry brands, leather brands use successfully. But even they are moving partially more to direct marketing because they need to create e-commerce sales. And, you know, you cannot just rely on your reputation if you want to have consistent e-commerce sales with new collections coming out all the time. So the travel industry should learn a little bit from that and invest also a little bit more in direct marketing, in our opinion.
So our last point is the following. Getting high net worth direct bookings on a consistent basis is hard, since a lot of it is word of mouth. And a lot of companies have a very hard time scaling these efforts like this way.
Yeah, scaling their efforts that way. So what that means is that we hear that all the time. Oh, luxury marketing and hospitality, it's all about word of mouth. Word of mouth, word of mouth. Referrals, word of mouth, referrals. The world of wealthy people is small, but not that small. I have to chuckle a little bit all the time when I hear that emphasis of word of mouth. And word of mouth means also that scaling will be very difficult, right? How do you fill a property with 200 rooms and 50 of those are super high-end suites just on word of mouth, right? Your word of mouth must be very good if you want to do that consistently. So you can build things into direct marketing funnels, the type of funnels we built at Jadewolf, that promote word of mouth once you did a good job with a new customer, right? So let's say you attracted somebody through a funnel from like a luxury travel magazine. He landed on your website, on your landing page, and he booked a presidential suite, and you provided a great service. And also because it's a good lead, it's a good high net worth individual that is interested in, you know, having a more long-term relationship with your hotel, because you might be traveling to that city all the time or to that location, then you can obviously use things like email marketing, personalized sales outreach, maybe even mailings, like traditional post mailings with gift packages, etc., to get that person back into the fold, you know, to promote word of mouth, to make sure that he refers other people. Another thing you can do is referral systems that are built into your funnel, right? Things like if you refer your family, your friends, you know, you will get a special promotion deal or a VIP sale or access to exclusive events. There's a lot of things you can do without having to use the word discount or just, you know, making everything cheaper for everybody, because that's not as necessarily what you should do. Actually, you should do the opposite. You should provide more access to exclusive things and more personalized, you know, like benefits, but you shouldn't like try to just discount everything, because that will just lead to referrals that attract more people who want discounts. Okay, so those are like some of the common issues that we hear in hospitality marketing all the time. And if you're a hospitality marketer who's listening to this and who's feeling like, oh yeah, that resonates a little bit with some of the stuff we have to deal with, feel free to contact us, right? Write us an email at contact@jadewolfmarketing.com, or book a paid discovery if you're like looking for maybe hiring an agency to help you with some of your direct marketing. If you want to move a little bit away from your OTAs and stop losing all those margins, we're here for you, right? We're always happy to talk to marketers and general managers and hotel people about what their needs and wants are. So this is it for this episode. The next episode next week is gonna be similar to this one, that we're gonna talk about common luxury marketing issues online, but at this time we're gonna talk about yachting and private aviation. And why we're gonna do two kind of industry verticals in one episode? Well, the reason is simple, is that yachting charters, private aviation charters are both very sales heavy, very broker heavy kind of like type of business models. And obviously operators and manufacturers have a different set of like challenges to deal with, but we're gonna like focus a little bit on the like charter side of things. And since some of the issues that they have are very similar online, we're gonna cover them all in one episode, to save a little bit time. Make sure to tune in. Thank you for listening. I'm saying goodbye
and see you next week.